No, I have a truck and a Prius. That's all I have. I still have my Prius. I still drive that same Prius since 2015.
You have a Prius?
I'm a Prius, yeah.
What a dork. You have a Prius? What do you? What if somebody sees you in it? What's happening, guys? Welcome to another episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Chael. This is Daniel. DC, did you have a car stolen over the weekend? Is that true?
Chael, it's the craziest thing. So, right, we buy cars, right? And say you get yourself a nice truck. To you, it's just a nice truck. To thieves, I guess it's like a valuable vehicle. So when I put the video up, immediately in the comments goes, it must have been a Ram TRX. I'm thinking to myself, Ram TRX is a nice truck, but I don't think it's no nicer than my Ford Raptor. Which, Chael, by the way, I'd been buying Ford Raptor since 2017, just upgrading the new year. Dog, I decided last week, I was like, I kind of want to change my car up. I go get a new car. It's beautiful, Chael, white, black on the bottom. I parked that thing at the airport like everybody else. I walk off the plane, Chael P. I am going back and forth through the parking structure because it's not big. And I'm pressing that panic button, that red button that's supposed to make the car start screaming. Yep. It's not there. I walk up and tell the guy, I go, hey, I can't find my car. They said that car was driven out of here on Thursday night at 8:45, dude. So then I start playing detective. Well, what did they pay with to get out of here? We can't tell you because the cops got to get involved. I said, well, where are the cameras? Like, you start getting desperate. No, I'm sitting on the ground for an hour and a half waiting for the airport security to come help me. And then thank God I've got some friends at the San Jose PD because I would have had to wait it in that structure until they came to help me. It's a nightmare. Okay,
but you have not got the car back. The car is currently gone.
Chael, the one picture I didn't put up on the video, which I should have, is I tracked it. When I tracked it, Chael, my car was floating in the middle of the San Francisco Bay. I think it's on a cargo ship heading out to Russia or somewhere. I swear, Chael, my car was floating in the middle of the San Francisco Bay.
They're good, man. They're good. I've only seen this in the movies. I've only seen in the movie where a guy goes, he gets a car, and they got like a system, and they ship it, they box it up on a crate, and they're sending it out. I've only seen oh my gosh, it is in the. By the way, I believe, I'm not a lawyer, but I love to play one on this show. I believe that's sovereign territory. I don't think the police could just like take a helicopter and go get it. Like the laws are different once you get to the water.
Chael, let me ask you a question. Have you, no, this is the thing, right? So I've had this car for 5 days. Have you, now when was the last time you ran out of gas? College, maybe?
College, and I wasn't driving, but it was a whole thing.
Yeah, so Chael, I'm with my Raptor, which I've had for 8 years, I know how far I can go when that thing says low mileage. I get this new truck, I drop my daughter at gymnastics, truck runs out of gas. So I'm looking at cars yesterday, and Cassandra goes, well, there are 2 more in the United States because they don't make many of these vehicles. I said, I don't want that truck. She goes, why? I go, that's a voodoo truck. If I had that truck for 5 days and it ran out of gas and now it got stolen, I don't want it. I don't want it, dude. It's like bad luck truck.
I had to tell an insurance guy that one time. There's a whole investigation. They sit you down. He said, do you want this car back? And I said, no. And that looked bad on me. He now doesn't believe that maybe I'm so innocent in this whole thing. It's like the car's been violated. I can't trust the car. The car should have protected. The car is meant to protect me. The car is that's how I felt about it. And I got it back, and I didn't want it. I had to sell the car.
Yeah, I don't want it, dude. I don't want that truck anymore.
You want to know what else? I meant to bring something up to you. You want to know what else happened this weekend?
What?
You've heard of the UFC. There's a guy called Ilia Topuria.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to mention this to you.
Yeah.
Daniel, come on, man. What do you want to compare him to? You want to compare him to Mike Tyson? Because I don't know if I've seen that kind of power. And I get that the size is different. Where you could destroy whatever's in front of you. I never had that. You're born with that. He perfected that. Give me your thoughts.
Chael, when this dude walks out to the octagon, he's smiling as if it's just another day. He's so calm, so patient. I'm like, initially I thought it was a facade. Like he was just showing off because he was trying to hide the nerves. He's hiding the nerves behind that fake smile. But the reality is it's not a fake smile. This is really who he is. He feels and believes that he belongs inside of an octagon. And when he's inside that octagon, he's better than anyone. You start to tell people all these things you're going to do. And I said it after the broadcast to John and Joe. I go, he keeps telling us what he wants to do or what he's going to do. We don't want to believe him. He ain't lying to us, Chael. He goes, I'm going to knock him out in the first round. I sat with him in Anaheim, and he goes, DC, I'm going to knock out Volk. And he says Volk with a W, right? Because he's from over there. He says Volk. He's like, I'm going to knock him out. I go, man, he's the best. Ilia, he's the greatest featherweight of all time. Does not matter, DC. I'm going to knock him out. He told me he was going to knock out Max Holloway. I go, nobody knocks out Max Holloway. Last weekend, he goes, I'm going to knock him out in the first round. And he was saying to Charles, bro, when he went up to Charles and he goes, I'm sorry, it has to be you.
That was cold.
Oh, Chael, I did not want it to be you. That's cold, Chael. It's chilling. Because
it's
look
chilling.
at what happened.
So, Daniel, he's out there, he's fighting for his life and his future and his family, and it's all of his dedication, and that's the part that's the sport. But then all around them, there is a show. And part of the show is his family. I mean, that little kid that looks like $1 million, and then I got to bring his wife into this because she is playing her part so perfectly. She's not there for herself. And I got to tell you this, I have seen women, I have a guy, I'll keep the name out of it, that got knocked out. His woman comes into the shot, checks where the camera is, adjusts her hair, and then checks on him. Like, I've seen this done before. That girl reminds me of Miss Elizabeth, who was clearly there just to support Randy Savage. And there is something about her presence, I've got to tell you, it adds to the show. If she wasn't walking out, she's not part of it, along with the young man. It's not the same thing. I love this family feel of Topuria. I don't know him, and I haven't met him. But I love that he's changing his family. I love that they keep looking nicer. I love that their life keeps getting better. Like, there's a small story being told to us, the audience, silently. It's very fascinating. I mean, the potential of this young man as a star really is something to envy.
It is. Chael, you know who he reminds me of? Like Cristiano Ronaldo and the soccer players. That's what he reminds me of, those guys. You know, it's a show because they walk into the octagon every time and they're in this dark clothing, but they're carrying a red rose every time. It's like you're carrying a red rose. It's like such a contrast from the clothing. It's like they walk in there and they hand him a rose. The little boy, dude, when he's walking out, they pan to the kid. The kid starts shadow boxing, points at his dad and winks at him. I'm like, okay, this kid has to have a script or something, because if this is natural, he's doing just like his dad. Ilia walks around like a politician. His smile, he's lighting up the room when whatever room he walks into, and then he goes out there and he fights in the way that he fights. It's one thing to have the gimmick, right? It's one thing to have the gimmick, but not have the results and everything around it that matches. This kid has all those things that matches. Now, I say kid. I always say kid because I call younger people kid, like next to me. He's 28 years old. He's a grown man. I get it. But this is what sometimes we say, the older generation, we're talking about something that we're viewing as so special. When Charles grabbed him and tried to take him down and he defended, I was like, oh, it's not good. And then when Charles got that cut super early, I knew Charles was going to be in trouble. What I think was the most impressive, Chael, is that he never throws one punch. You know how sometimes when we were fighting, we would just load up a right hand and just throw it. And if it landed, you're like, oh my God, I got to follow. Mm-hmm. He hit Charles with that left hook. That left hook was not even necessary. Charles was already gone. But because he always throws in combination, the left hook landed.
And Daniel, I couldn't see it until ESPN replayed it and they slowed it down. Yeah. But I have never, ever, I fought 22 years as a pro. He has this form where he turns a jab, but it turns his whole body, which loads up the cross. He turns that cross, but he turns his shoulders and his whole, which is what sets up the hook. I could do that in my garage on the heavy bag.
On the pads, yep.
Right, I could do it with Coach Clayton on the mitts. To do that in live competition, I mean, it's truly something special. The best boxers in the world can't do that, and it's again where I got to turn back to Mike Tyson. I mean, there's a reason that he's so powerful, but he threw a jab at Charles, man. He chopped him up. When they went to the ground that time, it's very hard. Tell me if you had the same reaction, but it was very hard to watch that fight and not constantly wonder what would be happening if that was Islam. And when Charles got into that body lock and he's dry, I mean, Charles's best chance was that Charles is bigger. Everything was right. He had the lower back. He stepped into the danger zone. He went to throw. Ilia just floated those hips. Let me tell you something about Ilia. A lot of people don't know this, but his first day in martial arts, his first 3 years of martial arts was Greco-Roman. Purely Greco-Roman. You know, it's in Spain, you can go do that. Over here, you have to do the folk system. But I'm just sharing for you, I could see it in that moment. The way he floated that position and knew where he was, the way he dealt with that ankle lock. And the crowd kind of went crazy, but that's just because they were such Charles supporters. Ilia was not actually in danger. Then Ilia having the wherewithal to say, hey, what are we playing on the ground for? Get back up. Like, there was things that he did, even in 3 minutes, there was things that he did that showed what a veteran he was.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult to watch that and not wonder and go, you and Islam actually is a pretty interesting match.
Yeah. So he's 17-0 now. This kid has done everything. A while back, you and I had a disagreement. One that, while we don't disagree often, we had one. It was about a take you had on Islam in regards to his approach to Ilia. You said a word that I said was not ever relatable to Makhachev. And that was, I don't know if you said, you didn't say scared.
Coward is the word I was blamed for by Islam, but I don't actually think I used that word. But let's run with coward.
Yes. And I don't think that you would disrespect him in that way, but yes. We were talking about it, and you and I were going back and forth, and I said, that never happens. Do you double down on that, or do you feel like what I said on Saturday night? They said, I wonder what Islam Makhachev is thinking. I said he's probably thinking nothing, because people think differently as fighters. I don't worry about John Jones, no matter how great he was, until I got in there and found out how great John Jones was, because to me, he was just another guy. Do you feel more strongly about Islam not wanting to fight Topuria at the last weekend? Or do you believe that given the opportunity, again, if the decision is the same, it's based on the same reasons it was now, or it's based on more of what he has seen inside the octagon?
No, I don't believe it's true. I mean, let me tell you this. Islam is no different than you and I. We didn't know that Topuria could do that. I mean, right, like that didn't factor into Islam's decision at all. Now that he does know, I'm not sure that Islam overly cares. I mean, Islam still number one? The rankings won't come out until tomorrow morning, the pound for pound, but I do believe that Islam will still be number one.
Yes.
I'm just sharing for you. Islam had made a statement, if we're going to talk about that timeline, and he said, hey, Ilia, go ahead and come up, but fight somebody else first. You have no ranking. I've already done a 45-pounder twice where my belt was up and his doesn't. I don't care what it is, but do something and then come see me. So I do think that Islam means that. I don't know that Islam is ever going to want to return to 55. I think if we were talking to him now, he'd be more interested than ever. But once he goes 170 and his life's a little different, he kind of feels good on fight week. Don't forget, that's what Topuria had. Topuria for the first time ever. Yeah, he got to come in. His attitude was different. He's beaten up other guys before, and I know he's got knockouts, but he's got other fights that weren't knockouts, that were nowhere near as dangerous as Charles. There was something about the way he was feeling. There was something about having 10 more pounds of muscle and a whole bunch more calories and energy. It changed his attitude. It changed his performance. And that's always the question. How's a guy going to do when he changes weight classes? You had to answer the same question when you got in there and touched Stipe. How's Daniel going to do with a guy bigger? Can he take the shot? I thought Charles could take the shot. And I would love to know what Islam thinks. But no, I did not call him a coward ever. That was a misunderstanding. And I do not call him a coward today.
Yeah, Islam Makhachev is not afraid of anybody, and neither is Ilia Topuria. I think that's why, and they're both great, and I think that's why we pine for that fight so much, because of seeing mixed martial arts at the highest level. And honestly, outside of that Martins fight where Islam lost, nobody could beat him. Like, that's why he's been so dominant. So to see if maybe this kid has an opportunity to compete with him at that level is what excites people so much. Now, we want to spin it forward for Ilia Topuria. But before, I got to ask you this, because I believe that this is the greatest three-fight run I've ever seen in MMA history. To do what he did to Volk, to do what he did to Max, and then to do what he did to Charles, he has now knocked out 3 world champions in a row. He has now knocked out 3 beloved figures. I know we love these guys, but Max Holloway is still a really bad dude. Alexander Volkanovski is so bad that the moment he left the weight class, he's the champion again. Charles Oliveira has been in the title picture for the last 5 years. He's not beating washed-up legends, Chael. He's beating these guys when they still are valid. They're still valuable. They're still good and young and fresh. Is this the best 3-fight run we have ever seen in MMA?
Daniel, it's better than what you're describing. There was a mistake made, and the mistake was made to put Ilia in there with the reigning BMF champion and not to put up the belt. That son of a bitch should have 3 belts right now, and we're having a totally different talk if he does. The marketing and the posters are totally different if we had that, but we got to follow it to the T, and the belt's either up or it's not. And I only share that as, yeah, this is absolutely unbelievable. He didn't just beat up 3 killers. I mean, but the way the story gets told about Max, everybody likes Max and respects Max, and we know how great he was. There's more to it. He was the reigning BMF champion. Ilia Topuria should have had 2 over his shoulder and 1 around the waist, and I really do think that was an error. I'm glad that error is not going to be made the next time Max fight. I'm glad they're making him put the belt up. If you got the belt, it's got to be on the line.
Yeah, it was. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
Can I throw something at you? I throw something at you? Okay, I just want to play devil's advocate real fast because you and I know what we're looking at. And it's our job to make sure we tell the audience. We have a little better insight, but there is another side to it. Listen, Ilia did not move up and beat the guy. The guy's ranked number 1, and his name is Artem Sarukian. Ilia did not move up and beat the champion. His name is Islam, and he vacated. Ilia did not move up and beat the undefeated Paddy the Baddy. He beat Charles, and Charles is great, but Charles is one of the guys. He's in there somewhere, and that's to be debated. He's in there somewhere, but it still wasn't the top of the food chain. And I do love when Ilia came face-to-face with Paddy, but that did a couple of things. It created a real big problem for Sarukian. It's just hard to unwind that type of marketing. And I wonder where they'll go with that because Dana did splash a little cold water on it.
Yeah, he did.
And Dana's comments of that never should have happened were very open to interpretation. I have my own opinion. My own opinion is that quite possibly Dana has already made a deal and he plans to go with Sarukian. Let's see where that goes. But this thing with Paddy and Ilia is absolutely fascinating to me. These guys have played their cards right. For Paddy the Baddy to get in there and go face-to-face, one of them is going to break. There's a mental game being played when you're face-to-face with your opponent. And the loser is the guy that puts his hands on you first. And that was Ilia. Paddy the Baddy won. That's small, ever so small. But Paddy the Baddy does offer a mental side. And that's a tool we haven't seen from Ilia yet. And I just want to add that to you. I thought it was a real highlight of the evening, and I found it very interesting personally.
So I think, so 2 things. Yes, Dana did put some cold water on it. Hard to get rid of the visual that you see 2 guys in the octagon after the fight because it feels like the fight's getting made. Arman Sarukian, and Dana unfairly said this. He goes, the guy missed weight in Los Angeles. Arman didn't miss weight in Los Angeles. Come to find out, I guess he got hurt with his back.
You're correct.
Him stepping on that scale the other day as a backup fighter, Dana didn't acknowledge that's a step in the right direction because to his understanding, Arman didn't make weight. I even said that. So I can get where he can say, well, he missed weight. Because on the weigh-in show, I go, well, he missed weight last time, him making weight this time. And his manager, Danny Rubenstein, goes, he did not miss weight.
Correct.
He goes, his back went out, so he couldn't fight. Arman Sarukian's the guy. It was weird, though, because they showed Gaethje on the screen, they showed Arman on the screen, and Paddy was the one that just went in because Paddy's the boldest. Paddy's the bravest. Like you said, Paddy is a guy that is going to talk his talk, and he's going to fight you. But when you look at the fights, just the fights in general, Gaethje is, Topuria is minus 400 to beat Justin, right? Topuria is minus 600 to beat Paddy. Topuria is minus 350 to beat Arman Sarukian. So the guy that most believe can compete best with Ilia is Arman. And Arman, come on, Chael, he earned his title fight, and he should get an opportunity to fight for the belt. Charles Oliveira was in this position because you remember, he was supposed to fight Islam for the belt. Something happened, they didn't fight. He fought Arman and lost. Then when he beat Chandler, they're like, hey, well, you already had earned the title fight. We'll give you an opportunity. That's Sarukian, especially when he steps on the scale as the backup fighter. Dude, Arman Sarukian's the guy. I think that it would add, because he's so big, strong, can wrestle and do all that. I think they're all at a disadvantage striking against Topuria. But in terms of just overall MMA, Paddy is good at grappling. He's so good. His striking's gotten better, and he's massive. But we saw that with Charles the other day. Would you say Paddy's a better striker than Charles Oliveira?
No, I fully do concede your point that Sarukian as a martial artist and a fighter. But can I tell you this? Perception does become reality in life, and it's very true in this sport. Just for example, Justin Gaethje wants a title shot. I get that. But I got to remind Justin, he just had two of his last 4 fights. I was there with Dustin Poirier for the title. I was there when a BMF title traded hands against Max at 300. 2 of his last 4 fights were for titles. I'd like to also remind you of this from my perspective. But Ilia doing to Charles, particularly after Charles just beat Sarukian, I think that it lessens Sarukian's appeal just a little bit. Yeah, or what? Thank you for correcting that. What Ilia did to Max and the proximity of the Max fight with Justin Gaethje is so recent. I just think it damages that. I think in many ways you wash your hands. You look to a true grudge, which is what this sport's all about. I mean, Adesanya one time argued with Danny, wanted to fight Yoel Romero. Yoel was coming off a loss, and Adesanya said, as your champion, I don't want punished for being champion. I don't like that guy. I'm in the business where I get to fight people I don't like. You can't punish me as champion. And Dana goes, that's an interesting argument. And he booked the fight. And I'm only sharing with you, Paddy the Baddy's completely undefeated. We could talk about he's a regional guy with an interesting haircut. That guy's a killer. And by the way, he offers some fresh blood to the occasion. And I'll leave you with this one final thought. Both things can be true. Arum's next fight can be for a title. Paddy's next fight can be for a title. We could just make him wait. We could just pump the brakes. It's a matter of who goes first, who goes next. Both statements can be true.
Absolutely. Hey, Chael, you know what would be different in this situation? So when I talked to Ilia, I was talking to him about his $2 million gym that he has in his house, and I go, well, man, now you might have money now after these 2 wins, but before I'm like, how do you have so much money? Come to find out, Ilia got family money. Ilia's rich. Hey, Ilia's got family money, and then Sarukian, I saw Sarukian just housing $1,000 a bite of caviar. He's just housing like caviar. Like, Arman's like rich. Could you imagine 2 rich dudes fighting for a UFC title? Like 2 rich dudes that didn't get their money in fighting would be the craziest thing because rich dudes don't fight.
That's what they say. They say rich dude can't fight, but the Paul brothers kind of prove that's not necessarily true. Like if you've got a goal and you've got the money to put into it, it's a special kind of guy. I appreciate you telling that story on Ilia because he did not grow up with money. He grew up without a father in the house. It's what made him stumble into the gym and bring his little brother along. Mom needed him out of the house. It was kind of like a daycare. Like mom needed them somewhere to go. That was real early on. I'm actually very happy to hear that everything got worked out, but that's where it comes. I've wondered that. I thought maybe he just had like some big sponsorships over in Spain.
He got a $2 million gym, but his whole thing is like designed for him, and I think we're seeing the benefits of that.
Hey, Daniel, do you remember that time that we were all feeling bad for you because you had a car stolen, and then you revealed to us that you get a new Raptor every single year? I actually
every year.
I actually meant to tell you. I meant to tell you just from our audience. I just meant to tell you.
Oh, Chael.
Well, it was kind of one of those moments. I had my car stolen, but I got another ride over here. My buddies, the police. I mean, not for nothing.
Chael, I'm
glad I took your car.
No, I don't get one every year. I bought the first one in 17.
And then you upgrade each year.
No, I upgraded in 22 when they made a new body style.
Oh, you've upgraded twice in 5 years instead of every day. It's the same thing.
Twice in almost 10 years, I've had.
What an elitist prick! What an elitist prick you are!
Look at how you paint me.
And what are you wearing there? Is that a golf shirt? Is that of a golf course that you own a member? You own part of?
It's
your golf course,
dude. I want to give you some of these shirts. They're the softest shirts ever.
I'm really not flip off guy. I must tell you, that's a very unusual. That's a very unusual move behavior for me.
The first time I came into contact with you was in 1998, and that is the first time I've seen you use the middle. What are you?
I'm really not middle finger guy.
What are you, the Generation X now? I mean, are you trying to change everything? I mean, come on, Chael. So, Chael, do you do sport or do you do entertainment in sports? Do you book Paddy or do you book Arman first? Which one do you book first?
Okay, I know it's going to give that perception, but Paddy is undefeated. He's been in the UFC 7 times. Paddy's a grown man. People look at him differently. He's married. He's got 2 kids at home. I mean, Paddy's not quite the guy that people think he is. Not to mention, when he came face to face, he was huge. I talked to Paddy afterward, Daniel. I said, what do you weigh? He said 195 pounds. And by the way, this whole Paddy the fatty, no, man, this was Paddy a brick
He's not
house.
fat, dude. His face is fat, but his body's like strong still.
I think that you're okay either way. I will go with Paddy next if I have to answer your question, but I think you're okay either way. You have the organic marketing. I would keep Paddy back, though. I would not do Paddy versus Gaethje in the meantime. Both of those guys get a fight for titles next. That's a little bit of a cop-out by me, but I do see, to your point, that Sarukian had the shot. We know he's good enough. He weighed in 1 ounce overweight. He would have already fought for a title on Saturday. So it's very hard to come back now without anything happening and no losses happening and him going through a training camp and act like, hey, you're not good enough for it. He obviously is. So both guys have very strong arguments. I just think we can do both. And Ilia is most certainly willing. The problem you run into is the bigger fight is Paddy the Batty. So in many ways, you're safer to do Paddy first just to make that you preserve that opportunity, because Sarukian could come in, close the book on this whole damn thing.
Yeah, and that's
He's
the
good, bro.
He's really good. Sarukian's really, really good, man. My bad on the Paddy thing, because you're right. When I say entertainment versus sport, that almost gives the idea that Paddy hasn't earned this. He has earned an opportunity. Plus, he beat Michael Chandler, a former #1 contender for the belt in his last performance in what was an absolute bloodbath. I don't know that he could have done it any better. Before we get to the next topic, I have one question for you. Oh, they just threw in the odds. The reason so many want to see the Topuria-Makhachev fight, because I gave you those lines, right? -600 Paddy, -350 Arman, -400 Gaethje. The only person that he's not favored to beat on this day is Islam Makhachev, because in that fight, Islam is -225 to beat Ilia Topuria.
Oh, he is favored, though. He is still the favorite. Okay, I see it that same. Daniel, have you had time to kind of process what I was saying? That Ilia should right now have 3 belts.
Yeah.
It really is a big deal, and it really does change the story. I mean, when you're talking about who's more decorated, and I hear this argument between LeBron and Jordan, but it always turns down to rings and championships. That's kind of how people's minds work. The level of success that Ilia Topuria has had, it truly is it's unbelievable. It's maybe a level of success that we've never seen before. And not just because he had 3 great fights. He should have 3 belts now, right now.
Yeah, he should have 3 belts. Hold on. I want to give this to you before I ask you this final question on this topic, because I got this the other day. Okay. Age when becoming double champion, Conor McGregor, 28 years, 4 months and 10 days. Ilia Topuria, 28 years, 4 months, 21 days. So when you look at those guys at that age that they became double champ in their prime, who would have won a fight between Ilia Topuria and Conor McGregor?
So our minds will always tell us every single time. We're always we're just inclined to say that the previous generation was better. The reality is it's never true, and you're really not complimenting a previous generation. You're insulting an entire sport. You're saying the sport has not grown in the last 10 years if you go with the guy from yesterday. Guys do this with Wilt Chamberlain, but they're insulting all of basketball by saying the league has not grown in 40 years. I only share that with you because the answer is Ilia, and somebody that got real close to saying that in his own way was Conor. Conor went on social media and he alluded that he'd like to come back and fight him, but he called it that would be a good knock. And that's not how Conor talks. Conor talks, man, I'll come in and trash this guy. This guy's nothing. He's only here because I'm not. Like, Conor saying it would be a good fight is the nicest Conor's ever been in the middle of like trying to get attention on social media. Sugar Sean O'Malley couldn't have been cooler about it. He watches the knockout and goes to social media and goes, thank God he didn't accept my call out. And it was just a cool moment. Like to see somebody, a world champion like Sean, to see them be humble in the moment. Daniel, that's what we're supposed to do in this sport, man. Whether we like guys or not, we got to give them their moment when it's earned. And that was special what Ilia just did.
Chill, he said, thank God I missed that.
Yeah, he said, thank God. He said it right to his coach. Tim's showing him what he did. He's showing him the 1-2. And Ilia looks at Tim and then he looks back at the camera and he goes, thank God he didn't.
That is hilarious.
He was putting him over, but that you got to do that in the moment. You can come back in today and you can bury him. You gotta build the guy in that moment because he deserves it. There's not a lot we get for this sport.
Yeah.
You get some praise, though, and you get a pat on the back when it's deserved. And right now really is something special for Ilia. Put Charles Oliveira down. I've seen put Charles down. He put Charles out. Charles's eyes were open like a dead person rolled in the back of his head. I've seen that one time, and it was Pat Cummins when he got in there with you. It's a very scary moment to do that to Charles Oliveira. I don't know if I could do that to Charles with a steel folding chair.
What's the coffee thing, Chael? What's the coffee thing when he?
I was gonna ask you.
What's the?
It's
what is
tea
it?
for one.
I asked
Ilia.
Come on, Ilia. Let us know what's the coffee like. We want
I'll
to find
find out.
It is.
I think it has something to do with, that's a very British thing to do. So that's why I never got it. You know who else who had one? Kai France was holding a fake ponytail that he doesn't have and then sticking this tongue.
He's Maori, bro.
And I don't know what that means, but it looked kind of cool when he did it.
It looked cool. Okay, I think Ilia would have beaten Conor. Yeah, I think Conor was good, but I think Ilia would have beaten Conor in his prime. Like, he hits too hard. I don't know that he would. I mean, Conor was good. Conor fought Floyd Mayweather for 9 rounds. I mean, geez, he was a good boxer. Yeah. I just don't know that he could have handled the power and the aggressiveness of Topuria.
Hey, Daniel. By the way, and I know you want to move on from this, but just to go back to what you said about who should be next, should it be Paddy or should it be Artem? The UFC, from a branding and marketing standpoint, is really capturing the idea of Ilia, the global star, even more so than they are Ilia, our current champion. And I only ask you, doesn't Ilia look weak? If he is such a star, doesn't he look weak if he can't get the fight that he called for? I mean, that's one thing that Conor always did. It's one thing that Izzy always did. It's important. If you call for a fight and you're the champion, you got to be able to make that fight happen.
I think that it was a Paddy got in there in terms of, it was circumstance, right? Like, it could have been either all 3 of them, right? It could have been either of those 3. Paddy is the guy that's more bash, bro. And sometimes the person that steps up is the one that gets the prize at the end of it. But I don't know how you consider that a prize, getting locked in an octagon with that dude.
How many cars do you have in your driveway?
Me?
Yeah,
in my driveway I have.
Oh, you're stalling. You're getting ready to lie. You're stalling.
I have 2 cars.
I don't have to remember the truth. You have 2 cars now that one is on its way out of the country?
No, I have a truck and a Prius. That's all I have. I still have my Prius. I still drive that same Prius since 2015.
You have a Prius?
I'm a Prius, yeah.
What a dork. You have a Prius? What if somebody sees you in it?
They see me in it all the time and they love it.
Oh, my goodness.
Did you not see the video of Khabib and them making fun of me driving up to my gym with a Prius? I got a Prius.
You got Khabib into a Prius?
No, he didn't get. Well, yeah, I do. I have a video of us riding in my Prius back in the day. Hey.
JLP's walking. I ain't getting in a Prius. I'm the son of a plumber, and I'm still not getting in a Prius.
Yeah, I saw it the first time I saw a Prius. Ben Askren had it whenever we were on the Olympic team in 08. I was like, what kind of car is this? This thing is amazing. Co-main event, Alexandre Pantoja destroyed Kai France. He's just
well said.
He destroyed Kai France. They got this question in here, and I want to ask it, and I'm going to ask it. I have to say this first, though. Okay. I don't believe that we should start to have this conversation yet. I don't think we need to have this conversation for a really long time. But I will ask you this. Kai France last weekend won and defended that belt for the 4th time. His 5th title fight win. He has now broken some records. There's more finishes in the division. He's got the most wins in the division. But Demetrius Johnson still has 11 UFC title defenses. Pantoja, did he prove to be the greatest featherweight of all time? In my opinion, no. But if he hasn't, what does he have to do, Chael, to become the greatest flyweight of all time? My first thing is defend the belt more than Demetrius Johnson.
Simply that. We just need to see more of it. It's not to say that the version of Pantoja right now couldn't beat special versions from other eras. But yes, to your point, you got to build that resume. Listen, Pantoja did more than one would think if they read that result on paper, they followed online. Like, you kind of had to see it with your own eyes. And what I'm talking about is this was not grappler versus striker. Pantoja went out and struck with him. Pantoja stepped into the fire, man. And everything Kai did was trying to knock him out. And there was just little slips that Pantoja was using to get out of the way. Or there'd be a slip that he would use to close the distance. I mean, he showed some incredible martial arts skill. One thing that Pantoja's done, and all the greats do it. Randy Couture, I think, started in our sport. Passed that to George St. Pierre. Khabib did it, and now we're seeing it with Pantoja, but they've weaponized pace. The longer the fight goes, the worse it gets for your opponent. Like, if these guys can win the first round, you can get up and leave the room. They're going to win the next 4. And I'm watching Pantoja come on harder. And Kaikar was very prepared. I was slightly involved with some communication with Kaikar and his team for this fight. They were very confident. They were very prepared. When you face these guys off, I mean, just his level of fitness, Kaikar really was ready for this moment. Kaikar really fought very good. Pantoja was a better mixed martial artist. And when I see Pantoja on the ground, he's getting all these finishes, and you might come away thinking he's a jiu-jitsu ace, but he's softening those guys up, man. Yep. He's making them want out of there by the time he gets on top. He is absolutely relentless. He believes in himself. He's working a little gimmick. I like the walkout. I like the swag. I like the glasses. I like that he's trying to help that entire division, but he is doing just that. He is lifting up an entire division that at one time was rumored to be cut. He's now a star. And he's going to be a co-main eventer. Even his next fight with Van, these aren't main event fights yet, but they're big fights. And they're good fights. And they're the right fights. And Pantoja, by accepting Van, by accepting Kaikar, and accepting the last gentleman he had who had never even fought in the UFC, is showing a willingness to take on anybody. And that's not something we always see. We just had John Jones retire because he didn't have that. Meanwhile, we have Ilia that's in the ring, and he's calling for another opponent while he's got a backup to that one sitting right there. Like, some of these guys are hungry, and some of these guys really want to show the world what they've got. And I think we need to admire that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, he believes that, and I'm talking Pantoja, he believes the reason we should value his achievements higher, and he was very respectful of Demetrius, is that because now he said that he's fighting the world. He said before, when they were fighting at flyweight, it was mostly Americans, right? John Dodson, Joe Benavidez, and Demetrius was kind of going through all these Americans. He goes, I just fought a guy from Japan who wasn't even in the organization, but because they thought he was so good, they brought him immediately to fight me. He goes, and if there is another flyweight around the world, Dana will go get him and say, come fight this guy. He said, there's so much more talent today, so I'm fighting a different level of competition. Those are his thoughts. I still believe there's work to be done. It's so easy as fans to be blinded by what we're seeing right now with our eyes. And I love Pantoja. I think he's awesome. I think he's disrespected, and he doesn't get enough credit for what he's doing. But I'm not going to be one of those people that kind of washes Demetrius Johnson into the rear view because he's not around anymore. And he's not a guy that wants to be in the stands. Dude, you don't see Demetrius Johnson as a guest fighter because he doesn't care about that. He cares about his children and his life up in the Pacific Northwest. That's what he wants to do. Still wants to train and do those things. But at the end of the day, he was one of the greatest champions we've ever seen and has a strong claim to be the greatest fighter of all time, especially without any of the stuff that's been attached to some of the other of the greatest fighters of all time.
So, and Daniel, on the backside of that comment, I can't help but wonder. Here's a scenario. You're at a red light in your Prius. Britley and I pull up in her Bentley. We see you.
Yeah.
Do we say hello? Do we honk and say hello, or do we just act like we didn't notice you were in the Prius?
You're going to be like this. Is that Daniel Cormier? Everybody, people are like, it's DC. And I'm like, yeah. Hi, guys.
That looks like DC, but I know it's not.
And I'm just tucked in that thing, too. So when I first bought it, I was like a 205 pounder. So I was noticeably thinner. So I fit in it a little better. Now as a heavy guy, I'm really like.
But you must have an attachment because you didn't trade it in. You're not trying to get rid of said Prius. You must like the Prius.
No. You remember? You know why? So okay, all right. I'm gonna pull the curtain back a little bit.
Okay.
So I don't like to spend I'm like very cautious because like I said, I didn't grow up with those coming down the stairs for Christmas. So I'm very cautious. So one day I'm doing a bike in 2015, and Bob Cook calls me and goes, they're selling Priuses in Gilroy right now, and there's no interest on the payments. I go, what? He goes, yes. So I immediately jump in my truck, drive to the Toyota in Gilroy, buy a Prius. Chael took notes on it because I didn't want to buy the thing for $25,000 cash. I paid the notes off, and the car's been paid off since 2018. So
will Daniel drive it? Will little Daniel get that car?
No, Little Daniel wants a truck. He's gonna get a truck for his first car, and my daughter wants a Ford Bronco. So they're gonna get what they want for their first car. So, but yes, I drive that Prius. But Chael, let me ask you this. I got to get back on topic because I love my Prius. You don't love it. But the Prius is so good that when little Daniel first took his first driving lesson at 13, he drove that Prius, and I felt pretty safe because it's not going to get away from him. It barely speeds off. So
is that a sanctioned driving lesson, or is that you taking him to like an empty parking lot? What do you mean he was driving at 13?
That's me taking him in the parking lot and going,
all right,
this. Because he has a go-kart, but like the go-kart is not like driving a car. Anyhow, Pantoja.
I'd rather be seen in the go-kart.
It's a nice go-kart. It's a go-kart. Chael, I think it's a nice go-kart.
It's fine.
The go-kart.
I will never have.
Chael, the go-kart is, you remember those hoverboard things that everybody was riding before?
Of course.
The go-kart is a hoverboard, right? That you can ride on standing, and then it goes onto the body of the go-kart as the wheels in the back to make you go forward.
That's awesome.
It's a double thing. I'll send you the link so you can get one for Thero. Hey, Pantoja's been very mad about his place on the pound-for-pound rankings. He believes they should only be behind Islam Makhachev. Do you agree? I mean, I think Ilia should be 2 behind Islam because now he's won the belt in 2 weight classes. But I think Pantoja should be right behind those guys, 3, 4, 5 range, not 9, tied with Alex.
It is not purely skill. I had Dominic Cruz explain this to me one time, and I met this explanation with resistance, but the more I thought about it, I realized that Dominic's right, which is one thing that you must have to be ranked number 1. The mandate of the masses. You must. There is a popularity component that I know we try to act as not involved, but it is. And if I was to ask any of our viewers who the 10 best boxers in history were, they're not going to be able to name 10 boxers in history, and they're going to tell me the most famous. They're going to go Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, because that's all they're going to know. And I'm just sharing that. It's a little argue that Pantoja or anybody else would argue for number 2, not for nothing. And then in front of that, you still do have a co-main eventer, and he's doing everything right. And boy, those skills are there. I mean, he really is doing some things right. But you still have a co-main eventer. He just doesn't quite have that foil yet, and quite have that opponent yet to meet him with the resistance. I think Pantoja should be proud of himself, and I think that he is truly an outstanding fighter. I don't hate the idea that he's number 2. I just can't put him there. When you're not closing out the night, somebody else did. I'm forced to put that guy in front of you, considering the organization just did.
It's Islam, Marab, Ilia, Dricus, Ankalaev, Volk, Jack Della, Tom Aspinall, Alex Pereira, and Alexandre Pantoja.
Alex Pereira is that low? That actually kind of surprises me. I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, they put him down there after he got beat by Ankalaev, right? But he's a 2-division champion. I mean, pound for pound means that your fighting style translates weight classes. I mean, no one's shown that more than Alex Pereira,
sure,
who's a champion in 2 different weight classes. Can Josh Van beat Pantoja?
Yes. Yes, he can. He is not likely to beat Pantoja. If you were asking me for a prediction on that fight, he is not likely to. Here's the problem with Van, man. I don't know how he does this. You're born with this. Henry Cejudo can do this, and Kamaru Usman can do it. I've only seen it with those 2 guys. And now I see it with Van, which is composure. They can reset. If you're falling apart in a fight, it's not going to come back. Like, things aren't going to get better. You can just you can try to stall that slow until something else happens, and pretty soon the referee stops the fight. You can rock this guy, and you will see it on his face. You will see that it hurt. You will see that he's a human being that is absorbing those shots like anyone else. And then Daniel, his face comes back to something else, and he comes back at you. You can hurt him again. You can get him tired. He'll take a breath of air like he's tired, but then he'll reset. Kamaru and Henry did that. They were the only 2 in the history of this sport that I really saw that actual composure. This guy has it, man. Josh Van's not doing anything we haven't seen before, right? He's 1s and 2s, real Western boxing, pretty good chin on him, got some cardio and not afraid to wrestle a little bit. Hey, but that's everybody in the UFC. This guy can reset in the moment. He went from 14 in the world in 3 short weeks. He's now going to be a millionaire. And it's uncomfortable to talk about money, especially to a guy that drives a Prius, but he's going to make $1 million for that fight. That's just what they're going to pay him. I mean, there's something to being willing. There's something to saying yes. I don't know that I could have been happier for somebody. I mean, when they brought him in the ring to do the face-off, He was so shy. He didn't know where to look. He never looked at Pantoja. Pantoja finally taps him on the shoulder. Goes, hey, you got to look at me and put your hands up. Like Josh didn't know. There's just no arrogance. There's just a simple little boy there. But boy, naiveness can be very helpful in a cage fight.
He's 23 years old. Pantoja goes, hey, you faced me. That's how we do this dance. And that, hey, I'm the old grizzled veteran that's been here for 5 straight title fights. You better bring your work boots if you're going to get the job done. I'm happy for Joshua Vando, man. Dude fought 3 weeks ago, said he felt like it was a sparring session, and then they go and put on an absolute classic. Dude, you can, in the background, when he drops Royval, Chael, I'm out of my seat jumping up and down. Like I was like dancing like a child. It was just the greatest fight I've seen in a really, really long time. And obviously we had another great fight 2 weeks ago out in Azerbaijan. These are going to be guys these are fights that will be considered for fight of the year by the time December rolls around in.
The second best performance of the night might have been Royval, and no one will ever say that because he lost. The second best effort, heart, grit, the guy whose stock went up, it might be Royval. It pains me. It pains me that he's hurting right now. It pains me.
Bad,
Anthony Smith went and checked on him, man. He was a mess in the locker room, man. It was one of these things while Royval's in the ring with Joe Rogan, finding out that he's about to be rich and have his dreams come true. I mean, it's just this sport. There's the highs and the lows, but I don't want that for Royval. Royval looked incredible. I'm glad you gave him that shout out.
It's so defined that how small that line is between having the greatest night of your life and having the absolute. He got up when he got dropped at the end of the round. He got up and he cussed, and you could tell he knew he had just lost that fight because he knew it was close.
Yep.
Yeah, that kind of sucked, but it was fun. It was a fantastic fight. This International Fight Week absolutely delivered. It was one of the best fight nights we've had in a long time, so it was awesome. Chael, hey, guess what? We were talking before we got on there about, I'm a little tired, man. That was a long week. You know, you guys show up on Monday. That's what we do. But guess what?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just stumbled upon my Range Rover keys.
They're giving us a day off on Thursday. Can you believe that? They're letting us have the rest of the week off, so we'll see you guys on Monday.
My Ford keys.
Look at this. This guy, Chael. Chael try to pass it off on me like I have too many cars. You're the one with the Range Rover and the Bentley.
Miss Brentley's Bentley. I'm sorry. They're just all in my way. I'm sorry. What were you saying? What were we talking about?
You have too much money. We're off on Thursday, though. We don't have a show. So, guys, we will see you on Monday for the rich guy, Chael Sonnen. I'm the good guy, Daniel Cormier. Until next time, peace.